Hello and welcome to the I Am Her podcast. I am one of the podcast hosts, Abigail, and today I'm going to be talking about how to kind of reconnect with yourself and tapping into who you really are and to what it is you want out of life. And first of all, what even is reconnecting with yourself? To me, it's remembering who you are and who you are to your core, your dreams, your values, your feelings, and your needs. And I think that it means trusting your intuition a little bit more and kind of finding out what it is that you actually truly enjoy. Um, and I feel like sometimes it's easy to disconnect with yourself and who you are, and some things that kind of just gradually make you feel more disconnected. It could be a traumatic event, a breakup. Um, it could be burnout or living in survival mode. I have spent a lot of my life living in survival mode. And after kind of coming out of that energy of constant fight or flight, it's kind of like, wait, who am I actually? And I think I can actually like calm down now and my nervous system can relax and I can focus on what it is I want to do with my life. And after living so long in survival mode, it's kind of hard because your body is used to just like, okay, we have to be prepared for this bad thing is happening. And I kind of feel like I'm at a point where nothing's going wrong and it kind of scares me. And I'm like, kind of waiting, like, well, something's about to go wrong. Like, there's no way things are going this smoothly. And it's the first time in a long time in my life that things are just like okay and going smooth. And I think my anxiety is kind of finding a reason to be afraid. And I know a lot of people can relate to that because it's a very common thing. And even last week, I talked about how to get over a breakup. And after I went through a breakup, I also had to kind of reconnect with myself because, again, it kind of puts you in like a survival mode where you're just so sad and healing. It's kind of hard to focus on other things at times. And I wanted to talk about this today because this is something that is very fresh on my mind. I recently had a surgery, and because of that surgery, I kind of have to like stay home for 6 weeks and I can't do much. I can't really go to the gym. I have to do very light workouts. I have to wear like foam and certain clothing, so I can't really wear my normal clothes. I kind of just have to wear baggy clothes, which means I can't really go outside because I live in Utah and it's June and it's so hot outside. So I can't even really go outside and go on my normal walks or hang out with my friends or just explore. I can't do anything. I'm kind of like homebound and my mobility is altered and I'm kind of in pain. So I don't really have a choice but to be home and kind of confront my thoughts. And that is what has happened this past 3 weeks. I'm halfway there today. And I'm so excited to be done with my recovery. But because I've been stuck home, it has given me a lot of time to reflect, actually. And I kind of realized throughout this that I'm someone I don't like to reflect. Like journaling, I do journal because I know it's good for me, but there's a part of me that actually hates journaling. And I think it's because I have to be true to myself and I have to be honest. Like, why would I lie on my journal and be like, everything's so good, I'm fine? Like, no one else is going to see it, hopefully, besides me. So why am I so nervous? And it kind of forces me to be honest about how I'm feeling and what's going on in my life. And it brings up emotions that maybe I don't want to feel. And I realized throughout this process that I have been like avoiding a lot of my feelings and past trauma or whatever it is. So that's why I wanted to talk about this because it has been pretty hard and painful, but it has also been very helpful. And I feel like I've grown so much internally just being home by myself these 3 weeks. And it's made me realize how much I love to do the things that I do. It made me realize, wow, I love going to the gym. I love moving my body. And I love fashion a lot more than I used to. And I'm starting to get into it a little more. I don't show it with my outfits, but it's something that's very interesting to me and I want to get into it more. Um, I love the people I hang out with and I'm still able to hang out with them. Just all we can really do is, hang out in my apartment. So it's hard, but I am realizing, wow, I love being outside. I need the sunshine on my face. If I don't go outside, like I notice a very clear difference. Like I have been pretty depressed just because of my circumstances. Everything's going fine in my life, freaking knock on wood, but like I'm stuck inside. It's boring. There's nothing to do. It's kind of isolating and pretty lonely. And I don't feel alone necessarily because I know I have people, but just not being able to do the things that I normally do and being so out of my routine, it's made me realize how much I love my routine and how essential it is for me. So I know that that's a core part of who I am is movement and going outside, seeing my friends, expressing myself. And, sometimes we need to go through phases where we're not necessarily doing those things. And it's good to get out of routine here and there. And I think I was also reaching a little bit of burnout. So it's also been nice to just rest and be like, okay, my only task is to honestly recover. And that's when you need to focus on. But it just made me realize like it is so important to reconnect with your inner self because sometimes we get so caught up in trying to please everybody else and kind of, be productive, do what you need to do, whatever. And you're kind of just not actually living or being present. You're kind of just like going through the motions. And that's happened to me so many times throughout my life. And being present is something I really struggle with, but something I am working on very hard because I feel so much better when I'm present and when I'm doing the things that I love and focusing on my dreams instead of silly things that honestly don't matter. I think an important part of reconnecting with yourself is facing your emotions. And that to me is the hardest part. It is very hard for me to confront my emotions. And because I've done it, I feel like I've done it so much and I spent honestly a lot of my life feeling sad and a lot of my childhood being scared. And I spent a lot of my childhood in survival mode and kind of in fear. And that has been on my mind a lot is I've been thinking a lot about, trauma. And when we reconnect with ourselves, sometimes we have to face our trauma and those bad emotions and sad, painful emotions that we don't want to feel. And it's hard. It's very, very hard. But I think it is essential to growth. So something that I have been doing is journaling and shadow work. And shadow work is, we've talked about it on this podcast before, but it's just kind of a series of questions that you answer and you can journal out. And they're just like deeper questions. And it really makes you feel, and you have to decipher and dig for an answer kind of. And it shows you things about yourself that you maybe didn't know or brings up things that maybe you forgot. But I think reconnecting with yourself brings up emotions. It brings up sadness. And that's something that I've had to do is, face my emotions and some of the trauma that I realized I've never worked through. And so through this experience, I now plan to go to therapy again. I've been in therapy in and out, and I want to go back and I want to heal my trauma because I have a lot of childhood trauma. I have lots of trauma altogether, and I have not worked through it like I thought I have, and I didn't realize that. And I'm grateful that I'm now aware of it, and it's something that I want to change and want to work through. So I think if you are in a place where you are kind of coming out of survival mode, I think therapy is extremely helpful in journaling and reflecting and actually actively trying to heal those parts of you that are broken, because if you just keep continuing to push them down, they are just going to arise at a later date. They will always be here. Like I said, I have been pushing down a lot of childhood trauma, not wanting to think about it, talk about it with anybody, whatever. And it's coming up very presently to me now. I'm having nightmares almost every night about it. And I'm not coming on here to just be like, oh my gosh, my trauma. That's not what I'm trying to come off as. And I'm sorry if it seems like that. I'm just trying to express that working through that is going to create growth, and it is going to heal parts of you that you didn't even know needed to be healed. Because I personally thought I was okay, and now that I actually am not distracting myself constantly or going, I'm like, wait, I'm actually still not okay from this. And so I realized it's something I need to work through. So working through emotions, I think, is honestly the number one part of reconnecting with yourself and listening to your needs and your boundaries, because your energy is so sacred. Like we were talking about in our episode about the energy glow up, like you deserve to protect your energy no matter what. You don't need to give it to everyone. No one, you don't owe anyone your time or your energy. The only person you owe that to is yourself. And know when you need to say no, and say no, and know when you need to say yes as well. Like we can't just give it to everyone, because something's going to give. Whatever it is, it's going to give. You can't just go until you burn yourself out. And that's what happens to a lot of us, especially in this day and age where productivity culture is so pushed right in our faces. Like you should hustle, make money, do this, go to the gym, be skinny. It's exhausting, and you can't do it all. You have to focus on yourself, and you have to take care of yourself and your energy. Listen to what it is that your body needs, not what people are telling you to do, but what you know you need to do, because everybody's different. And listen to yourself, listen to your intuition. Don't let you make you think that you're overthinking something, or don't let somebody else tell you that you're overthinking something when you know deep down what you need to do. Trust yourself. You are your own best friend, and when you know what it is you need to listen to that, and listen to it the first time, because your gut is always right. Your initial reaction is always right. I've had many instances in my life where I feel something and I know what I need to do, or I change my mind. And after I'm like, no, I'm overthinking. But I know to my core what the right decision is. And I've not listened to my intuition so many times. And I know so many of us do that. And it's extremely common. But learning to listen to it and doing what it is you need to do is going to take you so far. And that creates so much growth and builds a better relationship within yourself. And I think making choices that align with you is huge. If you are just doing what all your friend group is doing and it doesn't feel right with you, let's say they're very into partying and drinking, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing or anything, but let's just say that's not your vibe, and you don't like to drink, you don't like to party, but you're doing it anyways because everyone else is doing it and you don't want to be left out. But you're kind of betraying yourself in a sense, because you know that's not what you want to do. You want to make choices that align with not only what you believe, but who you want to be. Because if you act like someone you don't want to be, you're not going to be your dream version. But if you start acting like the girl or the woman that you visualize and see in your future, you are inevitably her, and you are going to be her. But you have to act like that, and you have to embody it and feel it. Because if you're just going through the motions and doing what everyone else is doing and doing what social media tells you to do, you're not living true to yourself at the end of the day. When you live true to yourself and realize your core values and act upon them and do what it is you need to do that fulfills you, that is so much more rewarding than just doing what society tells you to do or what it is you think you need to do. And it also feels good to like set boundaries and live the way you want to live, because it's your life. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. It literally only has to make sense to you. That's the only person that matters. No one else has to come and live your life. You have to live it. Like no one's going to come fix it. No one's going to come swoop you away. You are the person at the end of the day who is making all the choices and is setting your destiny. I also want to talk about burnout a little bit, because when we are so exhausted, it is hard to live the way we want to live because you're just so tired. And I know we have all experienced burnout and it sucks, but sometimes you just reach that point where you're like, I physically, emotionally, and spiritually cannot do this anymore. I have to take a break. I have to stop, because if I don't, I'm going to run myself straight into the dirt. And I've been in this situation many times where I'm just working, and I have no time for myself and I'm exhausted. By the time I would get home from work, I had a really exhausting job at the time, and I would just get home from work and I wouldn't be able to do anything at all. I just scrolled, which of course is not relaxing and is not going to make my nervous system calm down. It's actually going to make it worse. That's another episode. Anyway, um, when you reach burnout, you don't have time for your passions. You don't have time for your hobbies or to do what it is you love. So try to avoid that, because a way of reconnecting with yourself is tapping into what you need and listening to your body. And I think a lot of the time that's rest. And I know we ignore that. I know all the girls in here are very productive, very independent. And trust me, I know it's hard to rest. I know that because I have spent a lot of my time when I rest feeling so guilty, being like, I should be doing something, I should be productive right now. But rest is productive. You need to take time for your brain to relax in order to do what it is you need to do. If you are constantly working, you're not going to be doing a good job. You're not going to be actually focusing on the details, and you want to be passionate about the things you're working on. If you're so tired, there's no room for passion. But when you take the time to rest and tune into what you need, you will come back so much stronger. Like, we need play, okay? We can't work. It's all about balance. You know, everybody needs a vacation. Everybody needs a rest. Sometimes you just need to take a day off, and you don't need to feel guilty about it. You need to rest because it's productive. At the end of the day, resting is going to create a better balance, and it is going to create a clean slate for you to work on when you do go back. And it's going to feel good. You're not going to be exhausted doing it. You're not going to dread it. You're actually going to want to go back and be eager and energized. Every time that I take a true restful break, when I come back to work or the gym or whatever it is that I need to do, I am coming back so ready, so energized, and it feels so good. I just know when I get back into the gym, it is going to feel so good. Before my surgery, was working out a lot. Like, I would spend a lot of time in the gym and working out. And my first week after surgery, it actually felt so nice to not work out. And I didn't have to feel guilty about it because I wasn't even allowed to work out. So there was no guilt. I was actually resting. And I have noticed how that has set my nervous system in such a peaceful state. And I know that when I go back to the gym, it is going to be 10 times better. I'm going to feel better and actually have the energy that I need to work out. And I'm not going to dread it anymore. I'm not going to wake up and be like, great, I have to do my workout. I would seriously, like, the night before, I'd be like, oh, gotta go to the gym tomorrow. And I dreaded it because I was doing way too much for my body. And now I can go back with more knowledge and knowing what it is that my body needs. And that's just an example of things. Just when you take a break from something that you've been going so hard at, you need to take a break. And when you go back, it is going to be so much better. I can tell you that. And that's a great way to reconnect with yourself, because you can get back into the things you love and actually love them instead of just going through the motions. I think also, through my experience of not being able to really do much, I have really tapped into what it is I want. And I feel I've reconnected a lot with myself by thinking, okay, this is what I need. This is the mistakes I've made. You know, I've done so much reflecting, and a big part of reconnecting is reflecting, because you have to know what it is you like, what it is you want in life, what you don't want in life, what habits you want to break. It really shows you kind of a layout of what you want. That at least is what happened to me. I feel like I'm doing a horrible job explaining this, but I'm just going to keep trying, okay? For example, when you go through a breakup, you can reflect and be like, okay, what is it that I want in my next relationship? And you can kind of plan for that and be like, I don't want to settle for this anymore. If I see this pattern again, I'm not going to do it. And it goes like that with everything. Like, with your job. You can be like, you know what? This is what I want to do in my career. And you can start making actions towards that. And it doesn't have to be a 180. I know everyone's like, just quit your job. And sometimes it's not that simple. You can't just quit. Like at the end of the day, we have bills to pay. We can't just quit and become a TikToker. You know, that's not how it works. As much as we wish that was the case. But as long as you are putting in the steps to your dreams, your actual dreams, not just what looks successful or looks good on paper, you are being true to yourself and focusing on your passions and what it is that lights a fire up inside of you, what it is that makes you truly happy. I spent a lot of time doing my hobbies because what the hell else am I going to do? And, you know, pouring into myself and my creativity has been so rewarding. I love poetry and I have been writing a lot during this time and I have gotten a lot better at it. And I feel like that's a part of myself that I was ignoring for so long. I spent a lot of time thinking, well, I'm just not as creatively talented as most people. And I thought this because my family, my mom and my sisters and my brother, they're extremely creatively talented. Like my mom is an amazing painter, so is my sisters. They just have this creative eye that I felt I don't think I have that. Like I would try to paint with them and my paintings would look like shit and theirs would be like put it at a museum. And I had to and then I started getting into writing and I realized that I love it so much and I didn't know that I loved it because I used to love dance as well. I would dance all the time and then I had a spinal cord injury and now I'm not really able to dance anymore. So I kind of lost that creative side and a way that I reconnected with myself was through writing. And I don't think that I would have started writing if it weren't for my injury and losing dance as a form of creativity because when I lost that, I truly felt like I lost a part of myself. And I did. I lost a lot when I went through my injury, but I was able to reconnect with myself through hobbies that I didn't know that I loved and things that I didn't know about myself, realizing I'm way stronger than I think. And going through hard experiences like that has built so much confidence within myself. And it sucks to go through trauma. It sucks to go through things like that. But going through them has inhibited so much growth. And I can look back and be like, hell yeah, I did that. And I can feel so proud of myself. And I feel so in tune with myself. And the self-love has grown so much. And of course, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, but there is something good that came out of it. And I think that if you really look hard enough, there is something good that comes out of everything. And it's hard. And I hated when people would say that to me at the very beginning, like something good will come out of it. And I was like, shut up. You don't know shit. But unfortunately, they were right. Fortunately, actually, a lot of good did come out of it. And sometimes we lose pieces of ourselves, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a loss. It's growth at the end of the day. We're becoming who we actually are, and people change. We're never going to be the same person. For example, we're not going to be who we were in high school. Everybody changes, relationships change, what you like will change, who you listen to will change, and that's okay. That's a part of life. The only given thing in life is that change is going to happen. Change is inevitable. And embracing it is a lot better than hating it and trying to conform and stay the same. And no, the way to reconnect with yourself is to embrace the change within yourself. I think reconnecting with yourself is asking what it is you want at the end of the day. That's how kind of I interpret it. And living the way that you want. And it's hard. It's actually a lot easier said than done because we do so many things because we think we have to or we were raised a certain way. But at the end of the day, it is our life and we are the ones who get to decide what to do with it. You're not going to be able to take, when you die, all your money and all your successes or the way your body looks like. That's not gonna matter at all at the end of the day. Like, we only have one life. We should live it the exact way we want to. We should live it to the absolute fullest. We shouldn't settle or do things just because. Like, we literally only have one life. Why would we waste it being miserable? If you have a job that makes you absolutely miserable, get a new job. Who cares if you're going to upset your boss? Who cares if you're going to upset your dad if he wants you to work there? I don't know. My point is, you have to do what makes you happy. And when you are happy, you are going to be confident. When you're confident, you're going to be happy. Interchangeable. I have reconnected with myself so much through doing what it is that makes me happy. I probably have a lot of things that I do that are questionable to some people, but I don't care because it's my life. It makes me happy. It brings me joy. It brings me peace. And that is all that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. They don't have to do it. It's their life. They can do whatever they want. But I'm going to do whatever I want as well. I feel, full disclosure, I feel that was kind of hard for me to explain. And sometimes I have all these thoughts in my head and I know what it is I want to say, but it's hard for the words to come out. And you're probably thinking, okay, then why are you a podcaster? Why are you doing a podcast if you can't do that? Because I want to get better at it and I'm going to try. So yeah, this is also one of the hobbies that I enjoy doing. And I know I'm not perfect at it, but I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep trying. And that's what it is. I'm being true to myself because of that. And I hope that this episode was helpful. I'm sorry if it was chaotic and made no sense, but I want to express to you to live your life to the fullest, romanticize your life, and literally, if you take anything from this, it's just do what makes you happy and tune out the rest. Tune out the noise. It's all just noise. But I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.